something crosses the road. It's skeletal like, fleshy, and it stands up, and then it like kind of just almost like leaps.
They look back and they see one. Clear as day. It walked 5 feet away from my audio recorder. We just saw a Bigfoot. Holy crap.
I've been pinched, I've been tapped on the shoulder, I've had my name hollered, a hand came up underneath my left arm. I said, little son of a bitch tried to get me. That was the time that I decided you don't sleep inside that building.
Did you see that?
The cow cur, it's big, it's white, and it runs faster than any man could ever run. And it would lean out behind the tree. Listen, that's why we never go out, because the booger will get you.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Exploring the Unknown. I am Dustin. Oh, I didn't hear you, Luke. I think your mic's muted.
Luke.
There we go. And today we have two incredible guests joining us. We have Troy Lillie, a predator behaviorist, and Brittany Barbieri, I hope I pronounced that right, cryptozoologist. And you guys might recognize them from the Discovery Channel's Lost Monster Files, where they helped uncover forgotten case files from the legendary Ivan T. Sanderson. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing really good. Really good.
Awesome. Thanks for taking the time out to do this. We really appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate you having us, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, how did you guys get into the fields that you are?
Go ahead, Brittany. Tell them about your field.
For cryptozoology, I just was always a very I believed in so much as a little kid. My brother can contest to that. And it was just kind of like one of those areas of interest of growing up in the Rockies of Colorado. We would hear stories, like strange, bizarre stories all the time, and talks of ghosts and, UFOs and stuff really weren't stranger in our home. And I always just found myself drifting more towards that, and growing up wilder with animals that we grew up with on the ranch. It just kind of went hand in hand with cryptozoology, and I fell in love with Bigfoot from a very young age, and I wanted to find him. So that's my
awesome.
short story. Yeah,
That's great.
Well, I do a lot of different things, but if you're specifying on animal work, animals have been a big part of my life since I can remember being aware of my existence on the planet. And I think my family was very largely into animals, especially the strange and unknown, more so things that people weren't used to, sloths, large reptiles, llamas, etc., just different things. So I just never really liked people very much. And I had a very small group of friends that I liked. So I like to work with animals, and I have certain things about me where I'll be able to pick up idiosyncrasies and different mannerisms. I understand training, and I work with people. Predator behaviorist is really a interesting term. I do animal behavioralism, but predator is something that they put in the show, which is great because that's what we're dealing with. But animals do a lot of different things as far as begin to understand. They all have a language. The only universal language that I'm aware of is body language. So it doesn't matter what you say. Animals will tell you what they're thinking just by their mannerisms or the way they're acting, eye contact versus not, things like that. So for me, my work is with large predator animals. Justin, obviously, he works with, cats and bears and all that type of stuff. But, I do large crocodiles and big predatory birds. Cassowary, that's the world's most dangerous bird. I have her here. She's a contrast most of the time, but we've got an understanding. And I think that for me, that's where that started. So animals are like the meat and potatoes of what I do because, I find it a little bit easier to do that than to actually talk to a human that I don't really want to conversate with most of the time. To be
Yeah, I get that 100%. That's awesome. You say predatory. I think you said predatory birds, right? Is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, predatory birds of prey. Let's just use that's more of a predatory birds of birds that you like, owls, falcons, things like that.
Yeah,
Eagles.
Yeah. And I think we got connected through Aaron, right? The Thunderbird story.
Yes. Yep.
What did you think?
I think
of that?
Aaron Satchett, right?
Yeah.
Satchett, right? Yeah. I'll let you talk on that, Brittany.
Me?
Yeah. Have you seen the episode? Well, or here, Dustin, you re-asked the question like, what are you looking for in that statement? Like, because I'll probably give you a very different statement than Brittany will, which is why we do what we do. But what is it? What did we think of the way they did the show, or what do we think of the whole witness account or story? What do you want to hear? What part do you want to know?
I think I would like to know more like your personal opinion on like what you witnessed and what you had talked to with Aaron and things like that. You guys were out there at the location, right?
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
At his house, everything. Great folks. Well, take it from a crypto side, Brittany, and then we'll slide it into a little more of the scientific side, and then we'll break it down for them that way. How about that? Because I know people listen; they want to hear crypto stuff. I'm sure they don't want to be listening to me. But go ahead. Go ahead.
If you take it from the crypto side and being there at Aaron's place, it was really fascinating for me just because really the uptick of the Thunderbird sightings in Pennsylvania and so forth really picked up more track mainstream, I would say, in the 1960s. And that's when Ivan started hearing a lot of rumbling coming from that side, because before that, it was always out west. It was always out in Tucson, all that type of, or Arizona, I should say, excuse me, and New Mexico. And so having it more on that side, there was a lot more to it. And it was more or less, well, then what type of species of animal? Because there were differences of appearances. There was differences in size. Out west, it was more leathery. On this side, the northern part of the United States, it was more feathered and large and had a ruffled neck. And some things just weren't adding up. So it was really nice to be able to see different perspectives, meet someone who had a really interesting sighting on their property. And it seemed to continuously happen for a period of time. And then to see the reports still coming out to the point to where Pennsylvania actually has a Thunderbird hotline, where they can call in and say, I've seen something that I would call the Thunderbird. So I think there's obviously something going on there, and what species of bird it is, that part I always hand over to my brother to be like, if it is a particular prey or a bird of prey, or not even a bird of prey, excuse me, a raptor, what are we looking at exactly? Because in my head, I want to go prehistoric. I want to think that this really cool unknown territory is still flying around in remote pockets of the United States. But what is the more realism to this? What is the more realistic side to this? And so that's where he really plays a huge factor for me to lean on.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Well, that was very good, Brittany. That's there's a lot to that. We all know that stories sometimes take lives of their own, right? So you and I, we could all be out together doing some sort of investigation, and then over time we lose touch with each other and we tell the story, which gets passed down to Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob passes it to Cousin Sherry. Okay. I think that also our perception of the actual size of something is greatly different than someone else's perception. So, and I can say alligators, we get calls on 10-foot alligators all the time. And they turn out to be a 5.5, 6-foot alligator in somebody's lake, but to them, fear has enlarged that creature to quite a lot bigger than it really is. And then once you're programmed for something, if 10 people are telling you, like, I was out there and there's a freaking Thunderbird out there, you're programming the mind, right? So the mind already is looking for that. You're not looking for anything opposite. So you got to be really distinctive on how you split your brain and what you're looking at versus what you're seeing. And you always have to kind of lean to the more what your insides are telling you more than your fantasy side that you want to believe, which I think the want to believe in something is just great. It's an awesome feeling. Who doesn't want to think that there's like a Bigfoot running around, or a giant sea monster, a dinosaur? That'd be the fucking coolest thing. So it's not that you want to take that away, but you got to find that balance. So when it comes down to animals, I look for behaviors that they're going to do in the woods. Like, how are they nesting? What's their consumption? Why? What's going on with the weather? Is something out of migration? Gigantism is very, very common, which I think if you both saw the episode, you understand that we brought that into it. Regardless of what they wanted to or not, that's still a thing. Some animals get bigger than other animals just because, the gland is just overproduced a little bit and they're still pumping. That's why we have 15-year-old kids that are 6'7", 6'9", 7 feet. So that's not that they're giants. Oh my God, they're fallen Nephilim. Oh, they must have angel blood. That kind of stuff, maybe. But we have to also say their physical body that's encasing that spirit is just overproducing a growth hormone. Now, there are some writings about Thunderbirds bringing storms. Well, if you do a little research on that, you'll find that that's not true at all. What happens is you get hot air, the spinning hot air, which the condors use to fly. They need that hot air to lift. But they fly in the front of the storms. So animals are usually trying to find shelter, so they're out in the open, they're running to different areas. And so when the Native Americans would see this, they called them thunderbirds because the storms are coming. And if any of you have ever been out west and understand what monsoon season is, or where there's heavy thunderstorms, like, it's a sight to be seen. And when a bird of prey is coming closer to you in the air, your perception, then your mind's trying to analyze how big. It looks a lot bigger sometimes. So I think that's where the term thunderbird came from, at least one of the stories, and it always leans to that. But I think it's just a large bird that somebody either smuggled as a pet, or it got out of migration somehow. And I was sitting out yesterday doing some work, because I try to sit outside as much as I can. And there was a pelican flying with two buzzards, like they were best friends, following the circle together. All of them were doing that, buzzard circle. We've all seen it. So I took pictures of this pelican. He's like, oh, fuck, I'm lost. The whole other crew just took off across. Here's a couple guys. I'm going to hang with them. And so you see these guys for like over an hour. They're just hovering this warm spiral of air. So I think sometimes they just get a little distracted, like a human would, and we get caught into a different migration pattern. And we end up with a larger animal there that shouldn't be in this side of the world per se. So I really think there's a simple explanation for that. I'm not sure if I can honestly say there's a giant thunderbird, but I think that, I recommend anybody listening and you guys to go somewhere that has a condor and go inside and get up close to it, at least within 5 feet, and then have them do a wingspan. I mean, I own a Eurasian eagle owl, which is the largest owl in the world, and one of the largest owls, pretty much is. Any of the bubos like that, but he's got a 4-foot wingspan, and when he blows up his wings and he stands next to me, it's like, man, he looks like he's going to body slam you. I mean, so you can imagine something with a 6 to 8 foot wingspan looks like a dinosaur for us. So that's kind of my explanation on it, in an example.
Yeah, that's really cool. I actually didn't know about them leading the storm or being ahead of the storm. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I tell Luke all the time, like I try not to get too into the hearsay and whatnot. I enjoy it, like the legend, the lore, and things like that. But I try to keep that open mind. I'm that skeptical believer. I have to see it for myself.
Me too, and it's so much more rewarding when you see that, because it kind of really then changes your entire perception of what you think you're seeing is crazy. Which reminds me, I'll tell you a story a little later. I'm still fighting with this one, but go. Anything else you want to ask about the Thunderbird?
No.
I don't think so.
No. I had a question for you.
Okay.
We were out a couple weeks ago. It might have been more than that. And it was like 1 o'clock at night in Western Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And we hear knocking on trees. What animal out there knocks on things besides what people would say is that's a Bigfoot?
I don't know, Brittany, you want to answer that first, or you want me to do it? Depends on where you are. I mean,
Yeah.
Southwestern PA.
All right, so there's a lot of animals. Go ahead, Brittany, answer that first.
Oh, I would say like a lot of times I'll get sent audios of alleged wood knocks. And a lot of times, like, because I've learned a lot too from my brother in regards to different types of woodpecker species. But when you start to learn about different woodpeckers, if you're not familiar with that type of sound, when it's a larger woodpecker and it's really banging into a tree, I've been able to identify some of the recordings sent to me as more of like a bird, like a bird pounding into the tree. So that's something, I mean, I want to believe it's a Bigfoot knocking to be like, hey, stay away from the stereo. Who doesn't, who believes in them? But I do have to be a little logical at things. And so some of those I can easily explain. And if I can't, I still will send something to Troy. I sent something to him in regards to a really weird scream that was coming from. And I asked him if it was a mountain lion, because mountain lions make weird sounds. And then he was like, no, that's a fox. And he sent me the type of fox that made that sound. And even for me, growing up and hearing foxes and stuff, that was still new to me to hear that type of fox in that area. So I think you still have to look at the natural types of animals in the area that might make that type of sound.
Yeah, because I don't want to jump to like, if we hear something unusual, I don't want to be the person to be like, oh yeah, that's Bigfoot. That's something else. I want to come up with like a logical reason first and be like, oh well, this is what it is and not what we want it to be.
Well, I've seen some interesting behavior. So we can talk about a couple things. You guys have the pelleted woodpecker there. It's a big woodpecker. They work a lot in the dusk to morning hours, early morning dawn, dusk hours. You'll hear them sometimes, and yeah, they're very large. So what they do is they're trying to bust in. Also, bears like insects a lot, and a lot of times they'll be fucking around and they'll break a tree down, and they see that there's bugs in there. And I have seen them push or hit the wood against another tree to shake the termites out or the bugs out, or even there's videos of them even picking it up with their mouth and kind of slamming it against a tree to try to break it to get more bugs out. So sometimes you're hearing that too. So, or it's just people know that there's going to be people out there, and with so much recognition of Bigfoot knocking, like, oh, let's fuck with these guys. Bop, 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 bop. Not to say that it's not Bigfoot. I'm just saying that there's a lot of other options to get to that consequence before
Yeah.
you figure that out. And that's how it's common, man. I mean, animals do that. Bears are not stupid.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah, we've not seen too many bears around here. It's a rare case.
I'm not saying
somebody
that you
would get
have them, but
picked with- right. No, I was
you don't have any black bears in Western PA? You just don't have any?
We do, but not
Yeah.
like the area we're at. It's more of like a, I don't want to say, like a small town.
Okay.
It's not really a
They don't
big
reside here.
wide
They just
area,
kind of
yeah.
travel through from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where you guys are? Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that get into this, with the exception of Brittany or whatever you guys have researched, and I'm just getting to know you, so I'm not sure what the extent is of what you believe or don't believe. But a lot of people that get into it kind of like what Brittany does. They take it out of context, I think. It's like when you go to like a convention, and sometimes we have to go to conventions, and there's like thousands of people dressed up like their favorite hero. Okay. And then you get this opportunity to become, I can go hunt Bigfoots and do this. So now there is real science behind cryptozoology and finding a hidden species. Okay. So I want to be very clear when I say that, because I'm going to get some hate mail, I'm sure, when you air this. But so if out of every 10 people, you have one person that takes it to a serious level like Brittany would, or even some of the other people that I know personally that really believe in this to be to be something we're studying, they ruin it because they go out, they create stories that didn't happen, or they see things in the woods they're not seeing. It's usually a dead log or a pile of sticks, and your mind plays tricks on you. Sometimes people are doing mushrooms or smoking weed or whatever, and then the story comes back different. And I think that that's when it cheapens it. So for me, I don't get into that stuff. I know what animals are in the area. Sometimes I don't. There's plenty of times Justin and I will research. And to be very clear, we were brought into this to do the animal side of it, because they don't do that. If you watch a lot of these shows, they're overproduced, and every episode there's always one on the infrared, and I'm telling you, it's always somebody in a fucking suit dressed up. I'm just telling you. And so nobody's ever getting a real person out there. I know there's an episode, or there's a series of Expedition Bigfoot. They have a primatologist on it, so she's skeptical. But for the most part of the shows, there really isn't, they're trying to sell the folklore. So that's why we were brought in. So sometimes when Justin and I go somewhere, we're working for Discovery or whatever, and they're like, hey, look at this. We want to know that all the predators from large to medium to small, right, down to a shrew. We want to know what's there, because sometimes little animals like beavers knock woods down and they look like big teepees in the wood because they're cut and it falls the wrong way. They're like, fuck, man, we can't carry that one. They move to the next one. Next thing you know, it's a Bigfoot did that. And for another example, I get a lot of that. Oh, look where the treetops are broken. Yeah, they're dead trees, usually, right? And if something goes up a tree and it's small, a bear's going to climb up, and generally it breaks in the middle. However, if the tree's dying and the bear's shoving it, like when they rub their back on it, you get this kind of friction, and it goes, it breaks in the middle, because we all know that, dude. Who doesn't shake a piece of metal and look how that works? That's what I tell people. Just shake it. You see where the weak point is? It's dead fucking center. And so, but nope, that's a big hand did that and broke it. And then you get the people that believe that, and then they spread that, which takes the real science out of cryptozoology. So that's like the clearest way I can do it. Like, if you're a real cryptozoologist, use some fucking logic. Get out of your never-ending storybook and look at some logic first. Look at the Sasquatch as an animal. And what does
Right.
he do different from any other larger being that he cohabitates or he has a domicile with in this area? That's how we approach it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's a good way to approach it. I think too many people do get out there and then everything's Bigfoot, and then they go back home like, oh yeah, I heard Bigfoot out in the woods, and really it could have been something that they're just uneducated about. And that's what
And
I
if you
tell
tell the
Luke. Like,
story enough,
even
you'll believe it.
Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's like I tell Luke, like I would like to learn a little bit, like even with paranormal investigation, like we go into these places that are supposedly haunted and have things happen, but I don't know what's happening environmentally. What could potentially be setting off that EMF? How does that work? What is actually happening?
Mhm.
Well, I
Yep.
don't know how long have you been doing paranormal stuff? Like, do you really divulge into it, or do you just use like machines and so on and so forth, like a lot of the ghost hunters use, or are any of you like savants, or can you really cross over?
I
No.
can't now. He
Just
basically
machines. Yeah.
just like his machines.
Because there's a lot of things with paranormal stuff, and it depends on how welcoming you are, and also how because it's all energy. And I
Mhm.
know everybody has a different belief system, but it's all energy, and energy can be accepted or not. Like I always hear people say, "Oh, sometimes I hear the spirit call my name." I don't believe spirits call your name. That's something that you don't ever answer. If you answer that, you're going to have problems, because things that want to get into your psyche have to have permission usually. I mean, there is a
Mhm.
law of spiritual physics that go on in the galaxy. No matter who your God is or what you believe in or don't believe in, there's a law. Every situation and every living organism has a law, including spiritualism. So there are things like that, and that goes back to ancient teachings, 8,000 years ago. So there's some truth to that somewhere. Like I
Yeah.
can't say that there's not, but that's what I'm talking about. So like you either have a draw to something, if there's something that you guys are really into that you feel very emotionally strong to, that's what you should lean into, and I think that's where ghost hunting and a lot when they go in with machines for thrill is fun, but if you really want to do it, because we'll do stuff, and I like the darkness, if you can't tell, but so I do a lot of work with that, and I think that there's a lot of misinterpretation of what we do with that with paranormal. There's a lot because religion gets involved, etc. It has nothing to do with that. And so I'll bring relics back, or someone will give me something that they think something's attached to, and I bring it here, and then they just try to befriend it. And I know
Yeah.
that sounds crazy because I'm so logical with animals, but there's a lot of weird things that happen that I don't have an explanation for. It's not like I'm in a new location. I'm in my own home, and my house has relics, and it's very my inside of my whole house is black. I don't have you don't know if it's night or day when you're in here.
It's really the haunted mansion. It
You have to go
legit
outside.
is.
So there's a lot to that, and then there's things that are bad, and so you don't ever want to go in there unwilling and pick something up either, because things can happen to you. Spiritual power is different. Like you can think you're doing normal, and you go to work, you have a car accident, now your mindset's negative. Now you have that negative mindset, right? And you begin to have that, and I think that's how they get in. Right? They just get in to cause havoc. I don't think they're trying to steal a soul for the devil or all that kind of bullshit. I just think they're trying to. It's usually a bitter soul that may not have been able to return, or and that's when your life starts taking a terrible turn. Like, why is this happening to me? I got a huge bill now. My kid's sick, and you get in that mind frame, and you keep telling yourself that, and you speak into your reality. And I think that's the type of spirits that get in when you start answering or dabbling in things you're unaware of.
Yeah.
Kind of like a bully,
Mhm.
That's the best way I could put it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, so really, how do you guys feel about paranormal investigations? Like, what's your approach? You really want to see something, or you really want to learn it? You want to see the science side? What's that for you? Because I'm curious too, from someone who doesn't.
I've seen and witnessed a lot of things in my life
Okay.
growing up. My dad was into the paranormal.
Okay.
He still is. And the one night, my mom went downstairs to shut off the lights, and we lived in an old house, so and we had animals. So she went downstairs, shut off the lights, and we hear a scream. Me and my brother, my sister, we all hear like a woman screaming, like a blood curdling scream. And I'm the oldest, so they're like, "Go check on mom." Like, I was like, "I ain't going down there." She comes running up like a couple seconds later, because we thought like maybe she saw like a mouse running across the room, or a cat scared her. And she comes up running upstairs a couple seconds later. She's like, "Why'd you guys scream?" We're like, that wasn't us. We thought it was her. She thought it was us. And that kind of got me into the paranormal.
Yeah, I would do the same for me too. That's an awesome story. That would start it. And something little like that will start it up for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about you, Dustin?
I mean, I've definitely had some experiences in the past that I can't quite explain, but like I do now kind of look at things from more of an energetic perspective. And I'm, like I said, I'm that skeptical believer. I've not had anything happen that's too, like crazy to really solidify my belief that, yeah, these things are out there. But I guess that's kind of why I'm out there doing it, is because I want it to be a thing. So it's like, I don't know. I guess it's just the curiosity.
Yeah. What I would recommend then for you to really try is find a place do you have children?
I do.
You do? Okay. So try to find a place you can get away from them. That's the biggest distraction in the world. And then what you do is just learn to meditate and focus on what you're trying to reach, and find a frequency. Use a frequency of a sound, or certain frequency of sound, and really meditate to that, and then try to start practicing astral projection. And I think that will really solidify some of what you're looking for. Like, it'll in essence clear some of the garbage out of your head. And what I mean by garbage is things that are, clouding what you're really trying to find. Meditation's important in paranormal. It's very important because the brain is really the only tool you have to work. So you have to be able to perceive. And if you know anything about the science side of your vision and what you can't see certain lights. You can't see certain, you can't hear certain frequencies because you haven't exercised your brain to reach that level. And I think that's where you need to really start, but you have to start, and it takes a while, man. It could take 6 months. You could have something great happen in 30 days. You're like, oh shit, this is really getting good. Cause you're like, now you're clearing your library out of doubt or of anything you want. And I think that would be cool for you guys to do too, because it really helps a lot if you're really interested in it, or anybody listening.
I am. I actually, have you ever heard of the Gateway experience or the Gateway tapes?
I'm not sure if I have.
So there's these there's these tapes that were designed. They use I don't want to say a technology. It's more of a method. They call it hemisync, where they sync both sides of your brain by using binaural waves, right?
I'm familiar with that. Okay.
So these tapes, they were used by the CIA. They have documentation that's been declassified explaining what's happening as you're going through these tapes. And a while back, I was doing them. And honestly, during that time, I felt like I was the most happy. I was the most mentally healthy, and I kind of fell off that. So I'm trying to get back to it. But after falling off the horse so many times, it's hard to get back on it. You know what I mean?
100,000%. And I think that what you said made a lot of sense there. I got off of it and I started feeling this or whatever, and I'm happy. I found in my own life, and I'm guilty of it too, of being, if whatever I speak, I create, and we all have the power to do whatever the fuck we want to do. It's been stifled. It's been stifled by humans in your life that are jealous of you. It's been stifled by politics. It's been stifled mainly by religion or anything else. So you can't do that. That's all bad. And I'm jealous of you, and I don't want Dustin or Luke getting anywhere with this. This is bullcrap what they're dabbling in. It's dangerous. And they try to shut you down. You can do whatever you want. And I think that for me, if I speak something, right, I start to become ritualistic with it, I can actually make it happen. And I'm not talking about buying Hong Kong. I'm talking about, simple. Here's something simple you can do, at night, if you're trying to generate more income for yourself. While you're starting to fall asleep, imagine yourself sitting at a table counting money, right? But at the end of it, take that money, put it into something that's secure to you, and lock it away. You have to start acting as if it's yours, right? And that's really how you get both sides of your brains to connect and make it happen. And every now and then I can hit that frequency and cool shit happens. For instance, one time Brittany told me something, and I said, since you said that, I'm going to go buy a muscle car.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so I kind of manifested this car I wanted, and 2 days later, it was the exact car, and I had it shipped over here from another state. I bought it and drove it to her house. And it all worked out like it should have. right?
Yep.
It wasn't like I forked over a shit ton of money. Like it all worked out exactly how it should have because you close your mind. So every now and then, if I could stay in that frequency forever, I'd be unstoppable. Any one of us would. But our doubts get in and our physical attributes and work and somebody needing you here and they kind of pull. And once they pull that energy from you, it really ruins what you have. So those are exercises to try to get to the levels you want to be, especially in paranormal. I think you should do it. And you said it. You said you felt better. So you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you'll definitely have to send me the tapes because that's awesome. I'd like to look into that too because any help is good. But you said it, and that's cool. And you just said it without even so anybody listening knows that you've experienced it. So I'm not the only one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in manifestation. I think for me the problem is understanding how to access it or how to perform it.
You have to believe in it. You have to tell yourself that it's yours. I don't know how to explain that. It's that feeling you get like say you wanted a dirt bike or a 4-wheeler or something as a kid, like you really wanted it. You worked hard all week for it or all year, whatever, saved your money, you bought it. Once it's yours, you know that feeling of it's yours. Nobody can have it. You're cleaning. You got to put your brain in that. It's mine. You have to act as if you're already there. You can't act like you're trying to get there. And what I mean by that is don't ever say, well, I'm working on this and I'm really trying to make it better. Don't say that. You don't say that. You go, it's really good. It's really good. And this week, it's going to be exactly what it needs to be. And once you start to convince yourself of that and you speak on those terms, speaking is spell casting. So anything you say is spell casting to yourself or anyone else. So you just keep acting as if you already are. If you're going to fucking be a rock star, you're already a rock star. You know you are in your mind. They don't know. And once you get to that level, you make a lot of things happen. And I've been fortunate and I've been able to do a lot of really cool things in my life. And I'm 50 years old and I've lived in a fucking pretty good time, man. Have I had some shit? Yes, indeed. I've went through some hell, but sometimes you have to take those journeys to get to the good side, man.
Yeah.
And really recognize people in your life. You're meant to meet people for certain reasons. And I believe that we've spent time with them in past spiritual lives. A lot of people don't believe that. I do. And I think we find each other again and we get it right. I really do. Thousands of years sometimes. I have a theory. Yeah. You know that there's a really good friend of mine. His name is Flavio. Him and I are pretty much inseparable. But I'll tell you what, I think in a past life, we were enemies. And it took 500-600 years to work it out. And now we're allies. And there's a lot to that. You know, sometimes your best friend today was your enemy thousands of years ago. I really, truly believe that. I really do.
Luke, maybe we were enemies in a past life.
Luke killed your whole family sometime back in 200 BC, right? And you made it your lives every 100 years, bro. You're living, you're coming back, and eventually you meet in time, and then you work it out. And I think then you become a powerful person because not everybody can sit and do what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Right. So you're doing better. There's guys that are wanting to do what you do, even though you're starting and you're loving it. They're like dreaming to do what you do. So it's already there. You already do it.
Yeah.
You know, we just got to keep going this way with it.
Right.
You know? It's
funny.
Man.
It's funny you said rock star. Music is a passion of mine. The intro music and stuff, I made that. So like that's my next level. I'm trying to get out of my 9 to 5 so that I can do music full time and the podcast and stuff.
I absolutely love music, man.
Cool.
That's I'm a savant with that. There isn't much I don't know about it. If I could turn it around, you'd see my drum set and all my stuff over here I'm in my studio, but you know, and like I said, I as a kid, here's the thing I want to say while we're here, and I want everyone to listen because it's so fucking cool and it's real. It happened to me. When I was a kid, I grew up in the 1980s, right? So I got to grow up during the rock and roll era when it was like a big deal, like pissing people off and, you know, people were burning albums and all the rock stars, there was drugs and chicks. I mean, it was a great time. And you'll never see that again. Never. That's never going to happen again because it broke that chain, right? So I used to love all the bands. Like Slayer is one of my favorite bands. I love Poison and all that kind of stuff. Anthrax, if you're familiar with who that is. I met Joey Belladonna, the lead singer, a couple years ago. I mean, I know you guys are young. And then you got Poison. So Ricky Rocket's a drummer. And you know, when I was a kid, I used to love those albums. I'd listen to Look Where the Cat Dragged In back to back, man. I'd be riding skateboard. I just loved them. Like one day I'm going to be like them. I'll be like them. And then, you know, later on in life, we turned out to be friends. Now Ricky Rocket and I are actually friends. And I used to like, those guys were I'm like, these guys are fucking awesome. You know, now we talk to each other on a cell phone, you know, and that's because good people are supposed to meet. Right. But if you keep at it, I screwed up a lot of my life, so I got there a lot later. But if you kept at it, but these my heroes became my friends, and I think that that's something to be said. And so I'm still like, wow, I can just pick up the phone and call these people. But as a kid, they were gods to me.
Mhm.
You know, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
when they say, "Oh, you know, you never meet your heroes," I disagree. I think that depends on who your heroes are. But yeah, music's
Yeah.
good, Dustin. We could talk music all day long. I could send you some stuff. I don't know what kind of music you like, but
Hey, I'm into all of it. I do it
Everything.
all. I went to Full Sail University for music production, so I got my bachelor's in the science of music.
oh, you
That's
went
awesome.
over and which 401 in Florida?
Yeah, I did online though. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
wish
got
I,
the
I wish I
Florida
would've
the
did it.
campus here. Yeah,
Yeah, in Winter Park.
that's badass. Oh, I'm familiar. I've worked
Yeah.
with a lot of people that have come out of that. You know, especially on film crews. A lot of them come from out of there and stuff. Very interesting. Full Sail. God, that rings a bell. That's crazy. But yeah, music's a cool thing. Yeah.
My 2-year-old daughter, I listen to like Motley Crue and Poison, like he said. My 2-year-old daughter, her favorite song is "Shout at the Devil." I put it on.
That's
and
my
she-
neighbor's favorite daughter's favorite song, and she's 4.
She sings it. She sings it. She peg bangs. Yep.
That's hilarious. That's amazing.
That's
really
awesome.
man.
cool. That's really, really cool. Well, you know,
Yeah.
my show's called the Motley Croc Show, so you understand metal and all that stuff is just a big deal to me. And
Yeah.
you know, and that being a motley of anything is what we all are, and I think that groups us all together. And I think that was the basis of Motley Crue, just being a roughneck, fucking don't let anybody tell you what to do, and fuck those gatekeepers. And I'm a real big believer in that. I don't like a gatekeeper, which is why I don't like most people.
Makes sense to me.
Well, nobody wants you to be better than them, man. We've all experienced it. They try to hold you
Yeah.
back, and you know you're good at something, and they try to smear you. I call them
Yeah.
gatekeepers. You just step on their face and you keep going, man. That's what you do.
Yeah. For me, it's like building up getting rid of the doubt and just having the confidence to really step into the power that I know that I naturally have. But it's like I'm intimidated by everybody.
There's no reason to be intimidated, man. You just do it. What's the worst that's going to
No.
happen? Nothing. You're going to go home, make some dinner, and sit down and think about how you're going to do it the next time. You're not going to die.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who cares what they think? And maybe they do that to you because you do have a talent. And remember that. Most of the people that I know that have made it have been shit on like 100 times or more. I mean, Ricky Rocket told us when they were trying to get Poison launched, they were denied like 20 times before somebody gave him a chance. And that 20 times took a span of a few years. Like he tells the story on the podcast that I brought him on. And that's proof right there, man. Somebody sees you one time and goes, this guy's got it. I mean, look at Jelly Roll. I love Jelly Roll.
Oh yeah.
I think he does some great music, man. And he did it by just fuck it. He was an old thug, being a junk, telling drugs and rapping. And then he turned in. He's got a good voice and he made it because he said, fuck it. I wasn't scared anymore. So I would just do whatever you want to do, man. And don't let them say nothing to you.
Mhm.
Who cares what they think? I don't give a fuck. I like trolls. Do whatever you want. Brittany will tell you. I like when they write that stuff on our show about, oh, look at these weirdos and Satanists, and they couldn't find nothing, blah, blah, blah. They suck. That one's ugly. You know what I do when I go in there? I agree with them. I go, man, that motherfucker's a bitch. I'm talking about myself.
Oh, you know what? That's so funny.
And they'll
because
read it, and I keep doing it.
I was
Yeah.
just telling my mom the other day. I was like, like it's hard to argue with somebody that's on your side.
Yeah.
But they don't even know it's you sometimes. Like they're talking to me, and I can get a strand going. So does Justin. We can get a strand going before they realize that they're talking to the person they're insulting, and then it gets radio silent. Or it's like, oh, bro, you had me, man. That's funny, man. I didn't realize you were going to read this. You get that too.
Which is so ridiculous. It's like how would they think that we wouldn't read it? It's public. It's on the internet. Like,
Yeah, right.
what?
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah,
It is. It's a really cool thing.
I enjoy these energetic kind of conversations based around like belief and stuff like that. That's what really fuels me. We've had a lot of people come on that we've had this kind of conversation with psychics and we had a diabolist come on, which was really cool. We're really good friends with him. It's been a great ride up to this point.
It has.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because
Now
you're
we
really,
got you guys on
you're
here.
really exploring the unknown is what you're doing. That's cool, and you're really doing it.
Yeah.
Because they don't teach it. Look at how many things we've learned now,
Yeah.
man, that aren't real.
And,
Have been lied to us about pharmaceuticals, the way we eat.
Yeah.
You know, how they kill you before you even know it in your sleep and drug you up. I mean,
Right.
all the ancient teachings were swept under the rug for financial, man. Like, and people are starting to see that now.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's the
Yep.
scariest thing for me, growing up, looking up at like all the adults and stuff. I thought, man, they know what's going on. They got it figured out. Now I'm an adult looking around like we all out here still trying to figure it out.
Well, man, you got to look past everything that the media makes you believe that you're a racist, or it makes you believe that you're an evil person, or it makes you believe that you're anti-patriotic, or you want to hurt people or kick people out of your country and all this bullshit. They tell you what to believe, right? So they force you into a categorization like you're in a prison. So look how prisons work. You have to pick a side, man. You're getting fucking shanked. And we all know this. Yeah. So you don't think big business and media is doing that to you too? That's what they're doing to you. Mm-hmm. You're like, well, I kind of feel like that, so I guess I'm a piece of shit. They make you believe that when that's not true. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're just trying to stand up for what's right. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have anything to do with who you are, what color you are. It's how you act to your community. Mm-hmm. 100%. Now, I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist in humans, because it's always going to exist. We're always going to hate each other. That's the law of the land. That's not the spiritual law. That's the law of the land. Lions do it. Tigers do it. Chimps will go in and beat up a whole bunch of monkeys and eat them. They're all monkeys. They're all apes, dude. They don't care. It's just, oh, you're smaller than me. You're a piece of shit. Or I don't like what color you are. That's normal. We just have to navigate that. But when they feed you crap all the time to take all four of us in these cubes on here and make us a different thing, then you start to believe you're that different thing. And then everybody doesn't get along and it causes segregation. I truly, truly, truly believe that. And not just from segregation from people or race, but from teachings, free healing, things that that's really like medicinal, really good, like marijuana. Like, oh yeah, when we were coming up, oh, if you smoke weed, you're gonna kill your family and fucking rob a convenience store. Like, I won't even want to get up, man. Shut the fuck up with that lie, right? Yeah. Oh, it's okay to have alcohol, get drunk, beat your kids and the shit out of your wife, make a sandwich and go to the bar and drink more. Or you can buy that all day long. But if you want some weed, you want to smoke a little weed and enjoy, open your mind a little, bring the two parts of your mind together, as we were talking about, Dustin, which is really good for that. If you use a certain amount of cannabis, it really helps. I mean, I use it all the time. It really helps. I mean, everybody knows I'm an avid smoker, and I'm not unsuccessful. So people can stick that and smoke it. But what the deal is that they tell you for your whole life that that's shit and bad for you. And that's just a lie. Yeah. Because they can't tax it. Right. Yeah. Now we can't control that. They could grow that in their garage, and they're not going to buy Tylenol anymore, Margaret. And that's what happens. And then it becomes this big thing. And then you realize you're lied to, and then you're pissed off at the world and you remain angry. But you got to get past that and just go. Right. Now it's open now. Information's there. As you know, you said things are being released about the tapes. That's cool. Brittany knows they're releasing UFO stuff. Trump just released the JFK thing JFK and Trump released JFK and Martin Luther King stuff. They're just releasing all that for people to see. So you can see all the stories that were made up and everything that was going on. I think that we should be privileged to more information. I really believe that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
As long as it's real information, but I want to see information.
And they said too, he was going to release the full footage of like the actual footage of JFK, like the whole video, not just edited snippets or the pieces they wanted everyone to see, like the full video from the actual parade, like when he came down, like the whole thing, and the close up on the driver, everything. Like he was.
And here's something that's funny, because of the media, CNN, Fox, NBC, all that other bullshit. Because of that media, people hate the other side so much they're going to think that it's fake because they're so stupid, because they hate a person. They hate Trump. I'm not going to watch that because Trump released it. It's fake. Yeah. Guess what? One company owns all the news networks on both sides. One guy sits up here and it trickles down to everybody. It's all the same owner. Yep. That's like you guys owning two different shows, hating each other's guts, but owning it at the same time and profiting off both ends of the spectrum. And that's exactly what that is. So you're gonna perish from lack of knowledge because you don't want to explain, because you hate a person, or I hate Elon Musk, or I hate this, or I hate that. They tell you how to feel, man. Get away from that. That's what I say.
Absolutely. You say that they're going to be releasing. They're going to be releasing some new UFO stuff.
Oh yeah, that's all written out there. What is that, Brittany? You know all about that. They're gonna those files talk about it. You know more about it than I do. That's your field.
Yeah, the stuff that Trump really wanted to get out was a lot of stuff that isn't considered like safety issues for the United States. That wouldn't be like a big, massive issue if other people knew about it. But they were going to release more UFO information, past projects after Blue Blue Book closed that were also investigating into UFOs and UFO crashes and all this other stuff. And then a lot of the programs that are working right now that are still collectively collecting information to verify that the NHI is real, which is non-human intelligence. So all of this in the span from now until 2028 will be slowly coming out to the public. And some of it has. They do it like in the past administration, they would do it on days where larger things were going on so that they could release it and it was under. And so later on, when somebody says, how come we didn't know about this? The government basically can wipe their hands and say, well, we did. We told you and we released it on this day, but it's covered up by a more larger issue, which seems to be
on main media.
Yeah, on main media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said that not that long ago when they had that big meeting.
Congress meeting. They did it the same time that the Tyson and Jake Paul fight happened.
Yep.
That's
around
right.
the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That
They
was
do it because they hope it'll
CIA
get
stuff.
buried. Yep.
Yeah.
That was that CIA stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hope.
And
Well,
they
people
do
are more
that.
people are more into it now. They really know what's up and they save it and it's kept.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and what's fascinating too is like the general public consensus is like, yeah, we know aliens are real. Just tell us. And that's because they have been trickling it out for such a long period of time. It's not so much the question of are aliens real? We know that they are, but do we have the technology? Did we actually capture actual alien craft to do, experimental testing on a re-engineering? And so it's like, yeah, that is the biggest question. But now we have new people in place in power on the board of Aero, which is really important because that's our main aerospace domain for all of our phenomenon that comes from alien technology. And they're more eager to work with the new administration to get more out to the public because their whole thing is we don't want to have the public in fear. We'd rather have them aware of what's going on. Like the past incident with the drones, there was 49 drones placed in the air. According to the last administration, this was not approved by the FAA. The government had no idea what was going on. Now the new administration comes out and says, no, they did. It was confirmed by the FAA. It was actual training on new drones. And something like from working on the inside on that respect, like these are things that we're taught is when they have a new technology, you don't run it during the day. And it's pretty understanding as to why. You run it during the day, you're going to get really good quality of photographs and videos of this new technology that you don't want in an adversary's hand. So you run the projects at night and they're darked out. They're almost like black op training. So you're not going to be able to see what they are. And no one's going to get a clear picture or any type of evidence of what type of new drone technology they're working on. And so that's normally when testings like this happen are at night. So you'll get a lot of these videos of people being like, I saw a strange object. It's not necessarily that it's strange. It's new technology that we cannot have in the hands of an enemy. So we have to run these testings at night to see how these types of new engineered drones or planes or aircraft for that matter, aerial.
Or just do it at Roswell during the day. No one can see it.
Yeah, or that too. Or in really like, areas that nobody really pays attention to. And so a lot of those testings do happen out in the deserts or in the mountainous areas where there's not a lot of people to see these types of things. But unfortunately, because it happened near basically a airport and it was in a very high trafficked area, yeah, they're running testings at not the best place, but it was approved. And so it scared the public. Instead of just coming out and telling the public, we're going to be doing some flight training tonight with some new tech. So if you hear or see anything that seems crazy, don't be alarmed, because they've done that with the new light drones, that light drone technology where they create large pictures in the sky and they can do all these different things. That was formed through an actual independent company, but they still have to notify the FAA that they're going to be running these tests. Well, then the public gets to see them and then it's approved and everybody knows they're coming. So they don't freak out about it. Nobody cares to film it. And really, I feel like that's the protocol that should be in place because if they don't want photographs of these, then you should pretty much tell the public what you're doing just so that they have a little understanding.
Well, just to touch on that, how dumb people really are. And you know who you are out there. You're fucking dumb. When they were testing the Dragon drone for the new Universal Studios Epic Park, they were flying a dragon around. People thought there was a real dragon, but it was a major drone, a movable drone, multi-drone. Looked like a fucking dragon. And people were videoing this giant dragon flying in the sky, like legit freaking out. Not stopping and going, wow, that's over the building site of the new park. Obviously, they're testing new technology for the park because they built it to where you go to portals there. Every time you leave one area, you go into a portal, you can't see the other side. So it's going to be a really wild technological park.
That's crazy.
Number 2, flat earthers. I enjoy conversations with them. But what I'd like to say is it's real simple. There's, and you're more than welcome to look at it. There's such a thing called halo jumpers, right? They jump from space.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are like, that's not true. That's a fake. Blah, blah. Okay, dipshit. Now listen. There used to be a series that was a spinoff of Jackass called The Wild Boys. Anybody familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay, you remember when Steve-O went to Russia and he fucking got in the jet and they shot him into space with that Russian pilot? He's up going to space. And that they took straight up. And when they got there, he's like screaming and looking out the window, and you can see the entire curvature of the earth that they say you can't see. They weren't even having flat earth discussions when that was aired. That was just, they shot him into space. He's in space. He's in there. He's looking around the windows. His eyes are this big. He's like, holy shit. He's got his camera on. And then they just drop him and he's like stretching out. He's like vomiting in the plane. Well, when he gets up there and he gets to the top and the plane slows down to drop, you can see the whole Earth's curvature. Yeah. So these people, man, they're like, well, beyond the ice wall. I go, well, whatever. Maybe the Earth's just bigger.
Right.
Maybe it's just bigger. I mean, maybe they do have us in there. Who knows? But maybe it's bigger. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Or when you die, you'll move to the next side, Pantonia or whatever. They always name it something ridiculous, like a Star Wars planet or something. Well, that's Pantonia, and that's Skylar. Like, okay, well, we have Mexico, America, and Canada. So I'd like to live in Pontorier and all that, and intergalactic stone world. See, it's people like that ruin that kind of science because they're fucking dumb.
I think I'd rather take anywhere but here at this point, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, you gotta, it's rough. Yeah. There's a lot going on now. At least we got more openings to stuff that we didn't have years ago. Like, if I was in my 20s or 30s now, man, this would be great. There'd be so much information I could have access to and have been able to do a lot more with to get to where I'm at now, So there's always something holding you back.
Yeah. And too, like, there are still powers that be that control, like the Google Maps and the Apple Maps and all those things. And what they want us to see is what they're going to allow us to see on those maps. So if there's islands or they're working on things in certain locations, it'll either be blurred or it's just not there. Because
the whole ocean's blurred.
Yeah, that too.
Do you not realize that?
Yeah.
The whole ocean is blurred.
Yeah.
It's only within 50 to 100 miles off each island when you zoom in, even on Google Earth. Then it turns into a blue blob that says Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean. You can't look in it.
No.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You haven't realized that?
Right now.
No, I didn't know that. Maybe
the interesting part too is like,
it used to piss me off. I'm like, I want to look in the water. I want to see if there's a monster shark or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
you can't do that. They blurred it.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, like, so this whole idea of Antarctica being just solid ice, right? Like, that's how we were taught. That's how we were all taught. It's just ice. Nothing lives up there. It's just nothingness. But what's really fascinating is that there are scientists, and have been since the 80s, that have come out and said that's actually not true. There's forests, there's greens, there's plants, there's flora and fauna. And it happened in, like, I think it was 2008.
Well, Hitler knew that.
Yeah, he did. And they had posted, so you can go inside one of the buildings in Antarctica, like one of the pop-up trailers that they work in, the scientists work in. So if you go, you can actually, and I don't remember the coordinates, I'm sure you can Google it because people go to look at it. So you can go inside the trailer and you can look around and see, like, the scientific lab, but outside the windows, it's full greenery. But when you pan out, it just shows nothing but ice. And it's like, now, wait a second. And so it's like they're trying to cover up what they want people to believe so that they can continue to work up there. Yeah, exactly. So it's like more people, but more scientists have come out and they're like, it's not a shock. Like, us that go up there and work up there, we know there's forests up there because we test on the plants to understand how can they work in such harsh climates. Like, they've environmentally evolved, and that's how it was. And then now a study came out of December of last year that they're like, oh, so the best part is because climate change. I'm like, you guys, so climate change has now retracted the amount of ice that we have up there and has allowed these forests to grow back. Well, that's going to take longer than a week or a month. You don't have a full, like, 60-foot pine tree in 1 month. And they're all of a sudden like, now there's this beautiful forest in Antarctica because the ice, sheets have melted, and it's allowed.
We need that for global warming.
And I'm like, what?
We need that, Brittany, for global warming. The ice sheets are melting.
100%. But I found it so funny because I'm like, anybody who knows science or logic is going to go, a tree that size can't grow in a month. Yeah. So that has nothing to do with even the 6 months. If you want to say 6 months of melting cannot cause that type of growth and fauna in a location that you're telling me was like 50 feet of ice. Like what?
Well, I know people got really upset. Because I said Hitler knew. Of course he knew. That was a large smear campaign there. That's for a whole other show. But he was thrown out of the Antarctica by the United States. Do you remember that? You guys aware of that?
No, I wasn't there.
No, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. He was looking for the pyramids and relics from ancient stuff. He was there first, early 1900s, right? America caught him there and threw him out. You're more than welcome to research that. He was there doing it with his scientists first, right? And he was pretty advanced. I'm not saying what he did was wrong or right, or if I don't even know what's going on with that anymore. So much has come out about that. But if you think about a major smear campaign, you can't let somebody share the truth. Mm-hmm. I mean, we got to tear him down. And I'm going to say this too, if you're into music. If you look at any Michael Jackson video, any of them, and you watch the openings of his videos, he was very, very, very anti-Illuminati. He was very anti that. All of his videos, smashing a window, a Black Panther walking away, landing on a square, hitting a window with a rock or a brick with a letter on it. Those were all innuendos of how much he couldn't stand that. Like, well, look, you can look at it and read about it. And then he would talk. Mm-hmm. They have recordings of him now, like, they're coming to kill me. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to kill me. I think they're going to kill me. And his doctor's like, what are you talking about? I think they're going to kill me. They killed him, obviously, but that's all been going on forever. And there is nobody in that time that was leading a generation of a crowd than Michael Jackson. Think about that.
That's wild.
Like that, bro, he shut the internet down when he died. I mean, for crying out loud, like they knew how to advertise. Oh my God. I remember when his hair caught on fire at a Super Bowl, I believe, and it was a Pepsi commercial or something, and he caught his hair on fire. Like,
the 90s.
Because everybody was using, they're
2000.
like, well, Pepsi, we want Michael Jackson. Do you know how much money they paid to get Michael Jackson to do a Pepsi commercial? So you get these big leaders like that, man, and it interferes with your money, man. You got to chop them down. That's just human nature. But that's what I mean. When I was talking about Hitler knew, I wasn't like making that up like, oh, Hitler's cool. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he was there studying something about the Arctic, of pyramid civilization, buried stuff, that knowledge that we need to know about, just like finding hieroglyphics with people riding dinosaurs or helicopters in it still baffles me.
Yeah.
Still.
Yep. Yep.
So it's all coming out, man. We've all been lied to.
Yeah. And then you have Kincaid too out in the Grand Canyon, he was sent by the Smithsonian. He worked for the Smithsonian, yet they deny him and they smeared his name left and right too as a fraud. But he worked with the Smithsonian in many different universities, and that site was touched by the Smithsonian. And when they stepped in, they told Kincaid, thank you, your work here is done. And he found Egyptian relics and mummies in the Grand Canyon. And now they're looking at the way that the structure of the Grand Canyon is built, that one of the main front points of the Grand Canyon is what they presume to be what once was a first carving of a Sphinx. How they used to have the Sphinx at a lot of the Egyptian things, and they're putting that together now. And they're like, so they're like, well, hold on a minute now. So now what Kincaid said may actually be accurate. And after Smithsonian stepped in, created everything up, they then turned the Grand Canyon into a state-owned park. And in this part of the Grand Canyon, you are not able to go into at all. There was an exhibition team I talked about.
But that part of it is sovereign land, though.
Yeah, no, I know, but there's
the Native Americans are on there. They can do whatever they want in there.
They can.
They're allowed in that part, right? So they know something.
Yeah, right. And the government-owned property. There were 2 explorations that took place in the 2000s where these gentlemen actually were working with some of the Native Americans there to say, we want to go to where these steps are, and they're like, okay. So they took them down, and right when they got into the area that's government-owned, these Black Ops came in. And they were told to leave and evacuate now, or there will be prosecution. And they had to leave. But they were like, we actually saw where the steps had been carved, where Kincaid literally spoke in his own writings that he presented to the Smithsonian of said location. And that's where they found original artifacts from relics that were Egyptian. But the Smithsonian claims he was a fraud, but yet There was like 25 individuals involved from university and Smithsonian.
So talk about
wow.
exploring the unknown, huh?
That's insane.
That is wild. What do you think it is that they're trying to cover up or withhold from us?
History.
Like,
The
what is-
true history of who came here first, how advanced certain ancient cultures were, a lot like the Mayans or the Maya. You have the Aztecs, you have ancient Egypt, you have Rome, Greece. These are people that were far superior and advanced, but they want to make it seem that we are the most
Didn't
advanced.
Rome-
Like nobody did all that.
Didn't Rome create the first World Wide Web in essence?
Yeah. And working toilets. Like not just a hole in the ground, like actual flushing working toilets. Yeah.
It's crazy
And
how much
Egypt
life
created
almost-
batteries to power things. They didn't just
Yeah,
have
but if you
flames
can
of light.
control, man.
They powered things.
Like I said, if you want to keep control, man, I'm a businessman. I own businesses. If you want to keep
Mhm.
control, you got to sell the narrative, man. Sell the narrative.
Yep. He who controls the narrative has the power.
100%. Right.
And you can't.
And I'll tell you what,
control
if you
it
discover
online.
something on this show and it comes out to be real and there's some narrative, you'll probably get a call too. You're going to cease and desist this show.
Yeah.
You know, I told him about that a long time ago when we first got into this. I said, "What are we gonna do if like we touch on something and then we get someone's like, hey, you got to stop talking about that.
If you don't stop, your children aren't going to come home from school tomorrow, kind of thing." Yeah.
Yeah,
Because that's what they'll do. And what are you going to do? You're going to shut up, right? You're going to protect your kids.
I
So
got-
for
yeah,
another
yeah.
18, 20 years that you're protecting your kids, right? You can't say anything. So again, that puts us all the way back to the scratch board. That's what I'm saying. And that's been going on in time after time
Yep.
after time.
And allegedly that happened on X-Files. One of the producers got a call and was told the topic that you're filming today on, you cannot film. You're getting too
I
close
believe
to
that.
the real
I believe that.
topic and you need to close this down. So they had to rewrite the entire script in a matter of a week because they
dude,
got a call
there
from
was a
somebody
movie-
who wouldn't give a name.
There was a movie released in the 80s called Time Cop with fucking Van Damme. That motherfucker had an iPad in that movie.
He did. I actually like that movie.
Bro, he had an iPad. Like he'd be looking at criminals, swiping the page and shit like this. I'm like, come on, man. You know the government's had that technology for for them to even know, because that type of stuff, they have consultants, military consultants, because if you're gonna do anything with law enforcement or whatever, and it has to follow their narrative, as you put it. And I'm like, that dude has a fucking iPad in there, man. What the fuck? Obviously, it wasn't real, but the concept was there.
Concept.
So. But when he went into the future, that's when it worked. That's how you aimed it. Somebody would identify their face. Oh, this is Jonathan so-and-so. Like we do right now.
Yeah.
Yep. You
That's
can't control
wild.
a powerful mind or somebody who's smart. But you can control weak minds.
Yeah. Do you think that there'll ever be a time where we do know the truth? As far as the public goes?
No, I don't think we'll ever fully know it, but I do think that we know a lot more now than we did. I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but I bet 10 years ago you didn't know half of what you know right now.
Yeah.
Just because you're pushing in. But imagine if you didn't, bro. Imagine if you're like, I'm just going to get this job here at the factory and I'm going to go home every night, kiss my wife and have dinner and imagine a dream, but you didn't. So now look how much more you know rather than just sitting somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of a slippery slope, though, because there's things that I've uncovered and perspectives for myself that I can't go back from,
Right.
And the answer or the truth might not be something that really sits comfortably with me, but it's too late.
Yeah. You already know. You're already in it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're already in that rabbit hole now.
What I'm saying is, man, like for all of us, especially I do this every week. I have for forever, almost a decade. But when you do this show stuff that you're doing right now, man, don't worry about what people think of you or how they're going to be offended. Obviously, don't be a fucking scumbag, but like you're entitled to what you want to believe in and look into, call it out, like this happened too. We always talk about this, but this happened too, or, X, Y, and Z. Because, everybody's like, oh, I'm offended. Now, if you got people that are offended, then don't watch. And now, bro, it's a good time to really do what you want because we don't have that control anymore where you're not allowed to be on the other side. Like if you want to be a wackadoodle, you can say whatever you want, but if not, then you can't. I'm talking about, I don't care if you're extreme right, extreme left, or in the middle. You should be able to say whatever you want. So to funnel it to what they want is controlling the narrative. So you're at a good time for this. Like you're going to start seeing stuff, bro. I will send you some podcasts that have been released recently, like that, some of these billionaire guys have started. Billionaire guys. Like, that one guy, I can't think of his name right now. I just saw him on a podcast the other day. He's got a beard. He travels the world. He's talking about things that I can't even believe he's bringing up, man. And I think that, and he's a billionaire. He doesn't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he'll get stopped obviously by somebody above that, but because you can't right now, and you can say pretty much. And what I mean by he's not being a dirtbag, he's just saying things like, what about this? Do you know this happened too at this time? Yeah. While Japan was doing this, do you know China was doing this? Do you know why Hitler was doing this? Do you know that the Christians were doing this?
Yeah.
So it's like, wow. You couldn't say that stuff before. They'd be like, fact check. You're a liar.
Right.
Yeah.
Bigfoot's not real. Ghosts aren't real. He killed people. America sucks. They kill everything and hate, and they take everything. Okay.
But I still can't comment because I said keep an open mind or be an open-minded person like me. And I still can't comment.
Something else happened in there for that.
That's what they told me. That's the literal message I received from them, was because in the same reel, I use the words open-minded and I won't cut my hair in the same reel. The word cut and open-minded got botted. I got a message directly from them.
Interesting.
Just flagged.
Just don't spell minded the right way.
Yeah. What was this from? There was kind of some lag.
I was just posting a reel about if you're open-minded and you are a believer or whatever, you found the weird corner of Instagram. Hi, one of those weird videos that you just kind of make for fun. That got me hit, and I haven't been able to comment for 8 days, and I still can't. I was supposed to be released today, and still can't do it. I did a test run, and here I am living the dream in meta jail.
That's wild. Yeah. A lot of the restrictions and things like that they put on these social media platforms kind of obviously restrict us from the things that we really want to say.
Yep.
100%. It's getting better though, because I say a lot of shit that you want to talk about. I did it through the fucking shut your mind woke shit. I used to say stuff, and man, I lost an entire page, man. Like, and I'm not this person like, man, I lost my 300 followers. Like, dude, like I had hundreds of thousands of people, and you've been hacked. We'll see you later. I fucking fight it. Well, we can't recover. Oh, sure you can't.
Just gone.
You just knocked me out of it. You knocked me out. Meta took me out because I wasn't spreading their agenda. Pretty true.
That's crazy.
Even on the podcast, like every once in a while, he would say just one word, and then he would freeze up and be gone. Like locked out, gone. And then
because everybody, I'll tell you what it was. It's because everybody was sensitive about suicide. Because I guess kids couldn't get the PlayStation 5 video game they wanted, so they'd hang themselves in the closet. And I was like, real good. Good for them. I don't give a fuck. I said, what about how we send fucking soldiers and military personnel overseas, and they come back and commit suicide because nobody's there for them. The minute I said commit suicide, they fucking cut me right off. But I was talking about looking out for veterans and people who really need help. If you kill yourself because you didn't get the video game you wanted, you're a dumb fuck anyways, and you don't need to procreate. And I'm not as scared to say that. We don't need that shit. That person will become an adult, probably join the police academy, and then hurt a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So have a good time in that closet. Let's just close the curtains. We're not looking in there today. Give it an hour. We'll come back and check on you.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I'm that type of dude, and I would get kicked off for that too before, but we won't now because it's true. Nobody cares about the underdog, man. They don't.
No.
Right.
So they're like, "Oh, that was sad. We need to support this." No, we don't need to support that.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. Yeah. Yeah. We're being silenced for sure with everything that we do.
Yeah, because we're advancing in technology now. Hell, most of your hackers are 15 years old. I read a story about that kid hacked into the goddamn government's website. He was 15 when they finally tracked him. He was using a VPN. He was so smart at writing script that he got he actually hacked in to our United States government website and was just changing shit. And they caught him. Read about it. He was 15. I bet you now he works for the government. How much you want to bet he's high paid?
I bet you he does.
Probably. Yeah. They offered him.
You don't
a
ever
great
talk
job.
about this. We'll give you $2 million a month. You shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay.
But can you hack into China for us right now?
Right.
And he is for sure. So I mean, there's shit like that, If you're that smart, you can get lucky, maybe. But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You know,
Get some
controlling.
high-end jobs if you're that smart.
Right.
High paid jobs.
Well, just keep doing something that people hate, man, because that's what gets you out there. So I'm going to continue to do that. I probably have more haters watch me than I do people who actually like me, honestly. Just because they hate to see what I'm going to say. He makes me so angry, and then their dopamine kicks in out of anger, and they have to watch what I say. That motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh, where's
and
he
it's
gonna
like
go
at that
with
point, it's
this
like, well,
now?
you're sitting here watching it. You're giving me the
Exactly, bro.
You're just giving me views.
Exactly. I don't care. Say
Exactly.
what you want. You can call me whatever you want, man. I don't care.
I'll be in the comments
Enjoy.
agreeing with you too.
Yep. Let's do it, bro. This is awesome. Exactly.
That's hilarious. I know that we're coming up. We're about an hour and 10 minutes. Luke, did you have any other specific questions that you wanted to ask them?
No, thank you guys. We'll have to have you back on again soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good time.
I do have one more question. Are there any upcoming projects you guys are working on that you can share with us?
Well, let's just say there's some upcoming projects.
Yeah.
And when we can share specifics with you, you know, when they're not controlling the narrative, we'll share that with you. How's that sound? You know, or we won't be sharing anything with you. If we share something now, you'll never see us be able to share that again.
Right. We want to
I've
make
seen
sure
this
you can
before.
come back on.
They replaced those guys.
Yeah.
What happened to explaining it? No, they're just
It's all that intellectual property stuff, man. But we do have projects coming up. We got some awesome stuff coming up actually, and there's some cool things going. So Brittany and I are going to represent the Lost Monster Files. We'll be in Belize in 2 weeks. We could talk about that. There's a gala going on for Belizean tourism. So they like to bring people down and they put big things together. So Dr. Marissa Tejas, who's head of the CRC, the Crocodile Research Coalition down there, got with the government. They're going to have me and Brittany there. So we'll be there in, I think, 10 days now. We're going to do their big thing for the tourism. You know, we get treated a little cool. We get to get off the plane and, you know, go to the side, and they go through our bags over there instead of the line over here, you know, that kind of thing. But, and then we just have, so we're going to be promoting some stuff there. But so there's some cool stuff happening, man. And hopefully by the next time we come on, we can be like, hey, we're doing this, and we look forward to seeing you, and you can get information. So,
heck yeah.
But yes, it's good. It's good. We got good things happening. We're good.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. And if you guys are ever up our way, give us a shout out, and maybe we could link up and go do something.
Listen, if we're in PA again, I'll link up with you. I'll be glad to text and hang out. Come hang out with us for sure, man. Come see how things go for sure. I think that'd be great. I'm not against that at all. I'm saying it on the air for sure.
Yep. So you know it's true.
It is live.
That's right. Because most people are like, he lied to us. He didn't really meet us. He just said it. No, I'm saying that. There's few people we would meet. I mean, you know, there's wackadoodles out there.
Oh yeah.
You know, the bigger you guys get, you're gonna get some crazy fans, man.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna put little trinkets in little boxes and kiss all over it, and put Scotch tape so the kiss mark can't be wiped off. They're like, Dustin, you're just the most amazing man I've ever seen. I would give my life for you, Luke. You're so gorgeous. I want you, Luke. I mean, you're gonna see that weird shit, or you'll open up your messages and you'll see like some terrible stuff you wish you hadn't looked at that they want to give you.
Happen?
Are you kidding me?
Experience?
Yeah, bro. If I sent you some of that stuff, I've actually seen things, bro, that I'd care to see again.
I try to tell my wife, you know, like getting into music stuff is, you know, what comes along with this. Like, it's not an exaggeration. Like, if it gets somewhere, like these are the potential things that could happen.
Yeah, and then you get liars like, oh, I was with Dustin or I was with Luke, and it's a lie. You get that too.
Yeah.
Self-claim, but that's a true thing, man. So yep, it happens, and that's what I mean by the wackos out there that are just waiting for you to come on, and you'll find them. They'll try to send you stuff all the time and keep talking to you. And you want to be nice, you know. You don't, because you know they could be mentally challenged and stuff like that. Not you, so you don't want to be totally brutal, but there are some. Yeah, come on, man. I mean, like the lead singer of Pantera, we know what happened to the guitarist. He talked about that all the time. They came up and shot the guitarist in the head and said he was the real Dimebag Darrell. Remember that?
No, I didn't know nothing about that.
Yeah, the band Pantera, his guitarist, Dimebag, man, that was Zach Wilde. That was they were best friends, but right after show, there's videos of it. He went up and the guy shot him and said he was the real Dimebag, and killed him, shot him in the head. He didn't even see it coming. He had his back turned, he shot him in the back of the head. A crazy fucking fan.
I was gonna say, well, at least I have something to look forward to, but now I'm kind of like,
music. No, but you know what I mean. Like, there's always a weirdo, so you gotta keep that guard up, dude. You keep that guard up.
That's what happened to John Lennon. It was a fan.
Him too. So,
Yeah.
I'll just.
but most of the time, Dustin's right. He gets into music. It's going to be a lot better stuff. He'll have an entourage of women, get divorced, things like that. I don't think they're going to kill him. He's too cool. He won't die. I'm just kidding, folks. I'm just being facetious. I'm just kidding. He's a nice guy. I'm just kidding.
I'm a very lovable person, or at least I try
right.
to be.
But your plan is to live like that, smash up some hotel rooms, urinate over the balcony into the pool, drink a little and be a rock star. I get it. The American dream. No gatekeepers for Dustin.
Oh, man. My wife's going to have some questions after this episode, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Tell your wife I'm joking. I'm just kidding. Whoever your wife is, I'm just playing around.
Like, you can't hang out with Troy. You can't.
All those instruments, all that recording stuff, it's gone. I want it out of my house right now.
All gone.
You go with it.
And repaint that room. Yep, and you go with it. Take that stupid couch. I never liked it anyways.
Right. Well, hey guys,
our green room.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on. We really do appreciate your time. And again, if you guys ever want to come back on, you're more than welcome to. This was great.
Yeah, man, great to be here. Thank you very much, and look forward to doing it again. Thank you for having me.
Keep in touch.
For sure.
Yep.
All right. You guys have a great day.
You too. Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
It was a fun conversation.
Yeah, it was. Those are the kinds of conversations that I really enjoy. Is whenever it's like really thought provoking and in depth.
Yeah. Let's do some podcast mentions.
Yes. I'm gonna get a would you rather question ready.
Okay.
We should have left them. We should have had them on to do the would you rather. We should like maybe implement that. Like have
it the guests.
Our guests. Yeah.
We should do that. If you haven't already, go check out YouTube, Exploring the Unknown. And go check out the website, exploringtheunknownpod.com. You can purchase official merch. And while you're on there, if you want, we have a Cash App and PayPal on the website. Send a small donation to help support the show. And we have a link down in the description through GoStop. If you purchase anything through that link, it will help support the show as well. And I think that is all for the podcast mentions.
That is all for the podcast mentions. All right. Are you ready?
I am.
For this would you rather?
I am.
Would you rather spend an entire night alone in a haunted location where the spirits are known to interact physically, touching, whispering, even moving objects, but you're not allowed to leave until dawn? Or venture deep into an uncharted forest, infamous for cryptid sightings, knowing that something is watching you the entire time, but you'll never be able to see it or identify what it is?
See, I don't know, that's hard. Because, like, you're going to be out in the middle of the woods, and you're not going to be able to know what you're looking at. You know there's something out there, but you don't know what it is. Then, on the other hand, it's like, yeah, this location. Now, when it says it touches you, is it just like a poke or like nothing harmful?
It doesn't say either way.
Now, if it's something harmful, I probably would go with the second one. But if it wasn't harmful, I would think I would go with the first one.
Okay.
So I think it depends on the situation.
Obviously.
But if it wasn't harmful, I would go with the first one.
Okay. All right. Because it isn't harmful, or like, what's your reason?
Because it, like, I don't want to go into a location where something's going to attack me. And, like,
I mean, you've gone into locations with where there has been previous encounters that there's been attacks.
But you can't escape it. If you're out on an investigation and something crazy happens, you can escape it.
You can or can't?
You can't.
Oh,
you can go outside.
yeah. You
Like
can
you
go
can
outside.
go outside and like refocus and regather yourself, but that's that you cannot go outside or you cannot leave the location.
Yeah.
So that
Okay,
makes
I
me
see.
think you're stuck inside that building for that till dawn.
Yeah.
So if it's harming me, but I can't get out of the building, that's different than being able to leave.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know, this one's very similar to the one that we had yesterday as far as like my circumstances of not being able to see whatever's threatening me. Like I don't like that at all. So for me, but you'll never be able to see. I think for me, I think that I would have to go out in the woods, man. I couldn't be locked in somewhere. And I know it doesn't say like it's being malevolent or anything, but it does say it's known to interact physically. So that could be either way. And I know that may be the case out in the woods too, but I feel like out in the woods I have a better chance because I have more space to get away from it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna venture deep into an uncharted forest.
Okay. I like that answer.
Yeah. Cool.
That's all for this week.
That is all for this episode. Thank you guys for listening. And like Luke said, if you have an encounter, please reach out to us. I think that I even have a thing right here. Look at that.
Look down there.
Click down there. Well, don't click there. It's more or less just go either email us or you can do this. You can go to the official exploringtheunknownpod.com and get some official Exploring the Unknown merch like this.
I like that.
But yeah. Cool. All right.
Till next time.
Do you have anything else for this? No?
Nope.
Okay. Well, ready?
Till next time. Keep exploring
the unknown. Bye, guys.
Bye.